the self-made millionaire that's made it his mission to teach over 250,000 people the financial skills you should have learnt at school. Jamie McIntyre is taking your calls and sharing invaluable money skills, from internet businesses to property investments, share trading to empowering women and youth with Market Smarts. Take advantage of his worldwide experience and get your questions ready for Jamie McIntyre tonight on Your Money, Your Call on Australia's Business Channel.
On Australia's Business Channel. Welcome to Your Money, Your Call.
Hi everyone, thanks so much for joining me for tonight's edition of Your Money, Your Call. I'm Nina May. Well, joining us for the first time this evening is Jamie McIntyre, who's the CEO and founder of 21st Century Education. Jamie is an entrepreneur, investor, author and self-made millionaire who's made it his mission to teach people financial skills that he believes should have been taught in school. Be interested to find out what they are.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome along. As Nigel said, my name's Jamie McIntyre. Now, most of you, I believe, I had the chance to meet, or who's a 21st Century member in the room? Well, 90% of you, and fantastic. Welcome along today. This is a program that I'm passionate about teaching. It's a program I only ever delivered once, and that was about 4 years ago. And we decided to redo the program, update it, and also bring in today several other speakers to share their different experiences. It's probably like any career or anything that everyone has their different angle on it, and different personalities will come through. So today I'm excited for you. This is a skill that we're going to be talking about that I think is probably one of the most valuable skills any individual can have in our life that we have in a material existence to be able to excel. And it's also one of those skills that most people in society have the greatest fear around. You may have heard the story when they've done a survey before. What would people rather do? Would they rather public speak or die? And most people, when they complete that survey, have actually ticked they'd rather die than public speak. So I guess that means if you're at a funeral, they'd rather be in the coffin than deliver the eulogy. But so the idea of public speaking really does put a lot of people in a state of fear, and as a result, the majority of people in society will say they hate the idea of having to public speak. However, and who can relate to that, by the way? Okay, however, if you can develop the skill to overcome that, where you can enjoy public speaking and be good at it, then you have what we call, you might want to jot this down, you have what we call a competitive advantage. You have a significant advantage over the rest of the marketplace, whether that's your co-workers, the people in your industry that you work with, or pretty much anyone, because it's a rare skill. And that's what we're going to look at today. How do you go about developing that competitive advantage? So what will you learn today? There's numerous reasons why you might want to public speak. Some of you in the room may wish to become public speakers. In other words, develop a brand new career where you get the opportunity to travel the country, travel the world, and become a keynote speaker and deliver presentations around the world. That may appeal to some people. Does that appeal to anyone in the room? A few people? Budding public speakers out there. And as a lifestyle and as a career, it's one of my many careers that I've had, and it's a very enjoyable career. You have the opportunity to impact, reach a lot of people, and meet interesting people. And so some people, that's what your goal is. Others of you in the room, maybe just in a situation where you're in business or you work for a company, and you know that if you could improve your public speaking ability, that it would improve your ability to get a promotion or improve your ability where you work to be able to expand and be more effective at what you do, whether it's in small presentations or one-on-one presentations, whether it's in board meetings, etc. If you're in the corporate world, those who can speak in public certainly have an advantage. And if you only make it to the top of the corporate ladder, you're going to need some form of public speaking training. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, others of you may be entrepreneurs and realize that if you can communicate more effectively and be a public speaker, you would be able to be more effective at what you do. Because there's no point having a great idea or concept if it's locked inside your head and no one knows about it. Is that true? The ability to articulate and communicate an idea, concept, a product or service to someone else so they can actually understand what you're talking about is invaluable in our society. And who would agree with that? So, and no doubt that's why you're here today. So, and some of you for a combination of those reasons. True? So what I want to share with you, this program was really designed differently to, say, a typical public speaking program. Now, I've got to be honest, I've never been to a typical public speaking program. I was never formally trained as a public speaker, and my goal today is my goal really today is to teach you to do something different. I believe public speakers pretty much a dime a dozen. There's a lot of people, you can go to a lot of courses to learn how to be a public speaker. Great skill. However, I really want to impart to you today and challenge you that we want to go this step further. What we want to do is become outstanding communicators. Because outstanding communicators that can engage and challenge people to think are rare. Where public speakers are a dime a dozen. If you can develop that ability where you can engage an audience, you can communicate and reach people, then you will separate yourself not only from those that can't public speak, majority of people in society, but you'll separate yourself from the public speakers that are out there, and you'll go to that next level and be someone that can really make a difference. And who would be excited if you could learn those skills today? So that's what I want to share with you. So, and when I say that with for myself, no formal public speaking training, I was not someone that went to Toastmasters and things like that, and I have no issues with those, and they do teach people valuable skills of public speaking, but we want to go beyond that. And so what I'm going to teach you is the shortcut to anything. And whether you want to learn how to be a share investor, a property investor, an entrepreneur, successful parent, whatever it is, whatever endeavor, and I've shared this with many of you if you read my book and watched the DVDs, the shortcut to any success in anything is to find someone that's produced the result you want, and then what do we do? Copy effectively. Okay, now we don't call it copying, we call it modeling. Okay, in other words, model success. Find someone that's effective at doing something and then model what they do. That's a far superior way to be effective at something. And the challenge with most people is that they're modeling people that are not successful. In our everyday life, we are modeling others. So often you've heard the phrase that be careful who you hang around, because you'll model their behaviors. You'll model what they do. So for myself, I was able to, my whole speaking career started by accident, and it was all come about modeling, which I'll share with you the story today. So before we get into some of this, I just want to challenge you to today is to keep an open mind, because what we're going to go through is we're going to dispel a few myths. So I'm going to challenge you to keep an open mind, certainly take lots of notes today, because we're going to look at things quite differently. And my outcome for the end of the day is that you'll be able to walk out of here. What I'm going to share with you today, out of many things, is one of the, I think the most valuable thing you'll learn today is I'm actually going to give you the syntax and effectively the blueprint of how to go from the beginning, or even before you start a presentation, to all the way through how to create and deliver a presentation step by step, the actual blueprint. And you can walk out of here today with that blueprint, and you, just by using that, you'll be 10 times more effective at the ability to, you'll be able to deliver tomorrow, if you wanted to, a presentation based around that blueprint. Because that blueprint's been so invaluable to me. I learnt that blueprint. It wasn't a blueprint I created myself. I was fortunate enough to be trained and taught that blueprint by a gentleman I'm sure some of you will be familiar with, and that's a gentleman named Anthony Robbins. Who's familiar with Tony Robbins? And some would say he's probably one of the most powerful communicators on the planet. He's certainly been incredibly successful. He's educated now millions and millions of people worldwide, so he would certainly be held in high regard as someone that's a very effective communicator. And I was fortunate many years ago, well before I even thought about a career as a public speaker, to be trained in a small room, small environment, and taught Tony's actual syntax and blueprint of how he created the presentation. And when I first had to do a presentation many years later, I didn't know how to do it. So I thought, what do you do if you have to do a presentation, you have to do anything, you find a model. So I went back and I had dug out those notes and had that model, had that blueprint. And out of that, I was able to create my first presentation. Okay? And that was the blueprint which I've used ever since. So I'm going to walk you through that today, and I think that is one of the most valuable skills you can get, because it's not just information, but an actual blueprint you can walk away with and design and create a presentation around it. Making sense? So before we get into it, I want to challenge you on a couple of things. Is some people have the belief system that some people are born public speakers. Who's heard that before? It's all right for some people, they're just born that way. Okay? Some people have the gift of the gab. Is that true? You've heard that expression before. And so there's these beliefs that people believe that people are born natural speakers. Okay. Now, if you look at someone like President-elect Obama, you'd probably go, yeah, that's true. He's someone that naturally must have been born as a natural gift to the gab. True? But I doubt that he was. I don't think when he was born there, he had a stamp on his backside as a little baby that you're going to be an outstanding communicator. I would dare say he had to learn those skills. If you read part of his history and part of his story, he wasn't anything, stand out at school or things like that. They never thought, oh, this guy is a great communicator at school. What I'm suggesting to you is this. Most of the skills are learnt. Nearly all the skills are learnt. So as far as being a public speaker, the skills are learnt skills. Anthony Robbins, he learnt those skills. Obama, he's learnt those skills. Does it make sense? So it doesn't matter. Also, the other belief is this. Quite ironically, I find it doesn't be the case in all cases, but I found this to be true as well. People are often one-on-one, that are quite extrovert, will often, when it comes to public speaking, be quite shy. People that are quite shy, personality, one-on-one, when it comes to public speaking, will often be more effective. It's interesting, isn't it? For myself, I was always a shy personality. One-on-one, I wouldn't talk that much. I often joke when I'm off stage, I don't talk to anyone. Okay. When you go into family dues and things like that, you're asked to be MC and things like that. I always joke, like, I don't really like speaking in public, unless I'm paid, of course. So, but in other words, I've met many people, and I know this to be true, out of colleagues and friends and acquaintances you meet, that one-on-one, like they're the life of the party. They're extroverts. But put them in front of a microphone and they freeze. They're often, even though they have the ability, everyone has the ability to speak. Is that true? Pretty much. Most of us are fortunate for able to speak, so everyone actually has the ability. And but when the fear comes in, the idea of speaking in public, they'll freeze. And who can relate to that fear? Okay, so we'll look at how we overcome that today as well. How do you overcome that fear? How do you be prepared? How do you be relaxed? How do you be authentic? How to be you and expressed? And I'll give you a big clue. Who's ever been passionate about something? Who's ever been passionate about something? A product, a service, or just something that's happened, and you can't help yourself but tell your friends about it. Is it true? And you are actually passionate, and you're in state, and you're excited, and you tell the world about it. Correct? You're actually public speaking. So everyone has actually spoken in public. So the idea of belief system people have, I can't speak in public, well, it's not actually true. They actually can, and they have. It's just the belief system they create, they can't do it because they link pain to the idea, and the greatest fear, the pain that comes from the greatest fear is the fear of what do you think? Fear of failure, fear of what people think. What's the real fear behind all that? The fear of rejection or the fear of embarrassment. Is it true? Most people, they run through their head what's stopping them, the idea is public speaking, where they go, can't do that. In their little head, the subconscious mind is going, the fear of embarrassment, the fear of rejection. True? That's the biggest thing that will stop people because they focus on that fear. Okay? Yeah, ironically, the career as a public speaker, if you wanted to develop that career, or just the ability to be able to communicate and articulate to other people in an effective manner in public, is probably one of the most rewarding careers you could have. Because it's not actually fearful, it's not actually linking pain to it, it actually can be very pleasurable. You understand that you can have the ability to really reach people, have a very fulfilling career. And whatever you do, just with this skill, it's massive pleasure rather than pain. And just getting people to understand that. Okay? So I challenge you to keep an open mind, look at your belief systems that may hold you back, and we'll dispel some of those. Take lots of notes today, and then I'm sure you will get tremendous value out of that. Not just from what I'm going to teach you, but rather than just my style or my delivery that's worked well for me as a presenter, we're going to bring on two experts after lunch. One is Peter Bland. Some of you may have had a chance to hear from Peter. And he'll share his syntax, his blueprint of how he goes about doing that. And also we have a guest speaker all the way out from the United States, Matt Browning, and he'll be teaching you after that this afternoon as well. So you're actually going to get three experts sharing with you their different strategies, the way to go about doing that. And then I'll also, in my presentation before we finish up at lunchtime, I will also go into detail as far as the different models of being a speaker. If you want to be a public speaker, there's different models that go about doing that, different ways to earn an income. Okay, very different ways, and how the best ways to go about doing that. Sound good? So before we get started, what gives me the right to speak on subjects such as how to be a public speaker or a communicator, And I'll be very upfront. As I said, I haven't done formal training to be a public speaker, but I don't believe you need to. I believe you need to model excellence and develop a blueprint, and then get out there and take action. And over time, practice makes perfect, as you see. You'll improve what you do. The reason most people are not effective public speakers is because they've been delivered a blueprint to follow, and they've actually taken action and actually practice. It's like anything. If I went into the career that you do today, for you it might be a piece of cake what you do. But when you first started that career, it was quite difficult. Because you weren't sure what to do, but after you did it over and over again, it becomes unconscious competence. In other words, it just naturally happens. So for myself, I ended up as a public speaker as one of my careers really by accident. It certainly wasn't planned that way. I didn't anticipate that. I was doing something completely different. And many years ago, as I said, I had the opportunity to be trained by Anthony Robbins in how to public speak, but I was really just doing it for the sake of interesting notes. I didn't plan that as a career. And it was several years later where I'd been attending particular other seminar programs on my journey of personal development, and there was a need for a support type group where once a month like-minded people that had been to many personal development seminars would like to catch up once a month, and we'd bring in a guest speaker, etc., and keep people motivated effectively. And there was about 3 of us that organised this group, and about 100 people showed up, and no one bothered to organise a speaker. So they said, who's going to speak? And they all pointed at me. And this is the day before, okay? So I'm like, why do I get picked on? Why do I have to do? I don't know how to public speak. So I went into a state of panic and fear and think, my God, how do you do this? And then I remembered, well, I had the syntax. I dug out old notes and what I learned from Anthony Robbins several years before was the blueprint of how to go about being a presenter. And I created the presentation around that. And I faced my fears and I delivered it. And I can't say it was an outstanding presentation, etc., but it was effective to some degree. And out of that, it was enough to plant a seed to say, you know what, this is actually a lot of fun. I enjoyed this, and I could see myself doing more of this. And out of that, being thrown in the deep end, so to speak, eventually led to a career where I've had the opportunity to educate in excess of 250,000 people now around Australia, New Zealand, overseas as well. So, and over the last 8 or 9 years, and it's been a very rewarding career as part of what I do. It's also as an entrepreneur. It's by developing these skills, it's enabled me to be far more effective as an entrepreneur, whether that's presenting in board meetings, whether it's presenting to potential clients, whether it's presenting to potential joint venture partners, whether it's just simple negotiations, ability to influence others, to share your ideas and concepts in a way that they grasp and understand them, and you can develop working relationships. So in that essence, it's probably been more valuable. And as far as a financial return, just the ability to develop the influential skills that you develop by being a speaker has been an immense value to me. Does that make sense? So I've been fortunate enough now also, not only as a public speaker to learn how to do it myself, I've also helped many other people that wanted to become public speakers and train and develop and mentor those people into outstanding careers. And I would probably guess off the top of my hat, there's probably been at least over half a dozen individuals that now earn in excess of $1 million a year just part-time from their speaking activities, that were individuals that I recognize as talent for what they did, not as a speaker, but they had raw talent for whatever their expertise was in. And I've said to them, I said, that expertise, many people would love to learn about that. And as a result, I've had to train them and teach them how to become presenters. And then after a while, once someone gets started with something, they just become better and better at that. So I have been able to impart that knowledge in a way to be able to build many successful careers of public speakers as well. Does that make sense? So I guess that's what gives me the right to speak on these subjects. And it's something that is such a valuable skill, and it's not necessarily that hard. Many people think it's, you think, why are the majority of people unable to public speak? Well, those who develop the skill and put the effort into it and actually get out there and face your fear are the ones that get rewarded because you have such a significant competitive advantage to the rest of society that doesn't have it. Okay, and I'm sure that's what you recognise already. So here's what I want you to do very quickly. There is 4 key skills that I've identified in the 21st century that are critical to excelling in today's rapidly changing world. And those 4 key skills are, 1 is the ability, obviously, to communicate. And that's what we're here today, is to learn how to become outstanding communicators, not just public speakers. So the ability to communicate. Because the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your communication. So if you're saying, I want to improve my life, We're going to go to work on how to improve our communication. So that's one of the top 4 skills. The other 3, number 2 skill, and not in any particular order, is the ability to negotiate. The ability to negotiate with others. You think about in any career you go into, those in society that can negotiate effectively will achieve a greater result. True? The other 3rd thing is the ability to market. The ability to market, in other words, marketing skills. Not necessarily a marketing degree you'd learn, a PhD in marketing at university. I'm talking real life practical skills that you can market, whether in business or yourself, you are in business effectively and you work for a company. So real life practical marketing skills. And actually, if you say, what's one skill that's going to generate me the most income, then marketing combined with communication is probably the 2 most valuable skills on the planet. If you develop effective marketing skills and you develop the ability to be an outstanding communicator, put those 2 skills together, and if you want to earn a 6-figure income or even a 7-figure income, a 7-figure income being in excess of $1 million a year, then those are the 2 skills that you definitely will need to have. Make sense? So that's exciting because those skills, once again, are learnt skills. They're available for people to learn. And the 4th key skill, of the 4 key skills, is the ability to solve problems. Creative thinking. The ability to be a creative thinker, which is effectively solving problems. Those 4 key skills. You go to work and master those skills, then you'll accelerate your income upwards. But in particular today, we're focused on the communication skill. Tomorrow, for those who are coming back tomorrow, we have a sales and marketing program, which I'll be delivering, and several guest speakers, where we'll focus on the marketing skills. Okay, so you can learn those as well. So does it make sense? So here's what I want you to do. On a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being you are an outstanding